This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Alright there, matters, and welcome to this week's SmackDown review with me, Michael Twentyman. And I've been tagged in again by Michael Ritter, as last week when he finished the episode, he was packing his studio up to move house, and he's moved house, but he hasn't got any internet and things, so he's asked us to cover this week's episode. And if you don't know who I am, I help Mike out over on the Football Function podcast. I cover the international games with the International Reefer Report episodes, and also currently trying to drop a weekly Reefers Rivalries episodes where I'm covering rivalries in the NFL between players v players and teams v teams, and go and check them out over at the Football Function, because now it's the off season. There's a lot of interesting sort of history lesson episodes coming up. Mike's doing a Team of Destiny series where he's going back at previous Super Bowls. I think the last one he did was the 1990 New York Giants. If you're interested in that, definitely go and check Michael Ritter out over on the Football Function. I've also helped Michael Ritter out a few months back when he attended SmackDown in Dallas. I covered that episode because he was away for it. And you might see me lurking about in the Discord under the name Grim Reaper. So I'm recording this episode from Warrington in the UK, which is situated 20-minute train ride east, 20-minute train ride west, in between Manchester and Liverpool. Pretty much bang on in the middle, just on the M6. And I'm recording this first thing Saturday morning. I do try to stay up and watch it till 3 o'clock in the morning. I usually end up falling asleep just before it finishes, which I did again last night, so I had to sort of rewatch the end again this morning when I woke up. And I think we've got an alright episode of SmackDown here. It's telling stories pretty good. Still a bit, like there's one extra bit of star power needed to make these shows a lot better. And I agree with Dino from Scotland's investigations in the mailbag with all the QR codes that Uncle Howdy and the White Six is going to come back at Clash of the Castle. And so I expect them to go to SmackDown, and that's just where I think this, the SmackDown's going to start getting a bit more interesting. I mean, I don't have the time to look, check all these QR codes and look into the meaning of it. So that breakdown that Dino from Scotland did in that last mailbag was highly appreciated. And to me, it makes sense for them to go to SmackDown, and even possibly maybe even start something with LA Knight. If I remember right, at the was it Mountain Dew match or Dark match or whatever it was at was it Royal Rumble? It wasn't. It was the last match that Bray Wyatt had, but I think if I remember right, at the end, didn't Uncle Howdy dive off something onto LA Knight, and then they both disappeared in a weird fashion? Can't remember, So let's get into this week's SmackDown review, which came from Louisville, Kentucky, and thanks to DJ Kuzmo for the location breakdown in Discord as usual. And this episode started off with the usual recap videos of AJ Styles pretending to retire and beating down Cody Rhodes, which I thought was brilliant. It's actually, I think that's because I'm not a big fan of Cody Rhodes myself, I'm not going to lie, but I do like the way that now he's the champion, we get to see a lot of folk beat him up and, try and embarrass him and things like that. So that's the part that I'm looking forward to in this Cody title run. And AJ Styles doing that was just brilliant. It's starting it off perfect as far as I'm concerned. And then we had the new bloodline come out for the anointment of Tonga Loa into the bloodline. And Paul Heyman, oh my god, this guy deserves an Oscar. He's a shivering wreck. He's absolutely petrified, and it's just brilliant work from Paul Heyman. But you got Solo Sikoa coming down as I'm glad he wore a black jacket, because when he's wearing that red jacket and he's wearing the really contrast black and red, the way the suits that he's wearing makes him look a bit like a circus ringmaster. And I'm glad he came out in all black with red shoes. That was a nice little touch. But he got Tonga Loa, and then Tama Tonga, walking down with Paul Heyman looking absolutely petrified. New graphics with everything just looked right. And what I did like about this segment was that they darkened the stadium around. And I also liked the lot of signs last night that was aimed towards what was going on, and there was a lot of fake tribal chief signs, you're not the head of the table, or you're not my head of the table, and bloodline sucks signs. It all just added to the tension that was building up in this promo, and I think they executed it excellently. And this promo starts with Heyman reluctantly having to announce that Solo is now the head of the table until Roman Reigns returns. And then the crowd break out into loads of "We want Roman" chants. They did quite a lot in this segment, but and then I'm just going to check my notes here, because I wrote this down in a specific order because I know I'm going to mess it up. And he announces that Tama Tonga is being re-anointed into the bloodline, and from now on he will not just be known as Tama Tonga, he will now be known as Tama Tonga, the right hand man. Which massive boos, big smiles on Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman's looking ashamed that he's actually had to give Tama Tonga the title of right hand man. And then he points over to the gentleman on his left and introduces Tonga Loa as the infamous Tonga Loa. And then they're both anointed into the bloodline. And this is where it gets brilliant. Paul, both of them go and stand pretty much shoulder to shoulder, penning Paul Heyman in, and while he's quivering, he's trying to close out the promo. Solo Sikoa takes to the mic and says that Paul Heyman should be thanking them for saving him against Kevin Owens, and Paul Heyman's like, "Thank you, infamous Tonga Loa," and "Thank you, Tama Tonga." But then he missed out right hand man, and Tama Tonga gives him the stare, and he's like, "Oh, thank you, Tama Tonga, right hand man." And then Tama Tonga's response is, "The only reason basically that we saved you was by order of the tribal chief," which it makes this story, what's going to come with this is going to be brilliant. Paul Heyman's going to be petrified for the next 6 months until Roman's return, and it's going to be one of them storylines where when Solo's back's turned, Tama Tonga's going to be constantly picking away at Paul Heyman, and it's just going to be brilliant. Then Kevin Owens' music hits, and Kevin Owens comes out. What I liked was he was still strapping his arms up as he was coming out, he ripped the tape off, threw it to the side before he ran down to the ring. And he starts beating them all down, and then they all start beating Kevin Owens down, and the Street Profits surprisingly come marching out, which, well, not surprisingly, they've had issues with the bloodline, but I was expecting Randy, but I suppose that's all gone by the by now. But they all start beating down on each other, and Kevin Owens and the Street Profits get the better of the bloodline, and they end up retreating up the ramp while Kevin Owens and the Street Profits stare them down, which we'll later find out sort of leads up to a 6-man tag as the main event for this episode. But we then get Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, and I think this was originally supposed to be a singles match, but as the entrances were going on, there was a little backstage segment playing in the corner, showing Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae complaining to Nick Aldis, and this is what I'm liking about Nick Aldis as well. He just turns around and says, well, do you know what, if you're complaining, then it's a tag match, simple as that. And I'm liking this general manager, Nick Aldis. He's not taking any crap off anyone. And this was a good match. Jade Cargill's showing how strong she is. The way she picked Candice LeRae up and held her above her head and threw her, it was like she just picked up like a pool noodle, like one of them floats that you wrap around yourself so you don't drown. But what I did, I'm sort of picking up, Bianca Belair is sort of showing Jade Cargill as she's in the ring what she should be doing and stuff like that. When they're prancing about with the titles, Jade Cargill kept on picking up the wrong title, and Bianca Belair had to keep swapping it with her, and then she was saying, look, now it's time that you go around and show the title off instead of just standing there. So still a little bit of work for Jade to do, but you can see the improvement week by week. And I mean, some of the moves that she is pulling off, if she can get them more fluid and just float in from move to move, it's going to look very, very impressive. But this was an okay match. As soon as the bell rang, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire came out from one side of the ring, behind the commentators, and Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler appeared at the ramp, and just basically stared them down the full fight. And there's some good tag team manoeuvres from Bianca and Jade. I don't know what that one was called at the end that they did, but that was very impressive, where they were just flinging Candice LeRae around like a rag doll. But this match went as expected, told the story it needed to. You got the beat down at the end, and the Unholy Union, and Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. I really wish that they'd start giving tag team names, because if you've got two tag teams that haven't got a name, you've got 4 stars that you've got to get the names out instead of just thing. This later comes out that I think it's going to be a triple threat between. See, this is the problem I was just on about before, between the champions, the other ones, and the Unholy Union. There we go. If they're only going to name one at Clash of the Castle, and this makes sense that the Unholy Union are there. They're a full Scottish tag team. So it seems that they're going to be loading the Clash of the Castle lineup with Scottish wrestlers. And you've got now the Unholy Union, and then you'll have Piper Niven and Bayley, and also Drew versus Damian Priest. And the next match is a singles match between Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller, and this was a good match, and both came down with the respective tag partners of Tommaso Ciampa and Austin Theory. And what I've noticed, at this point, Tommaso Ciampa looked quite sharp. He was well trimmed in his beard. He had jeans on. He just looked odd, because I'm used to seeing him all scruffy and acting like a maniac. It was just weird seeing him in jeans, and they had a vest on, and everyone seemed very shiny. I don't know what it was. It was like everyone had been like freshly shaved and all trimmed out nice and shiny and sparkly, and sort of like it is sort of giving a little bit of the UFC sort of crossover here, and with the way of the visuals and the cameras that they're using. And I noticed in this the camera angle where they're at the bottom rope, a bit like what they do in the UFC when there's a submission going on the floor. I can see the benefits of this TKO merger, and it is all starting to look really good. But yeah, everyone was looking shiny. Even Cody Rhodes in his backstage segments, which I haven't missed them out. I'm gonna do all them at once when I get to the end of it. But yeah, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, I don't know whether they'd not rubbed like baby oil or something, but they've definitely done something to make them stand out a little bit more, look a bit more shiny. But this was a alright match. This was a good match. Both guys are absolutely fantastic. Good athleticism, and a good match all round. Grayson Waller gets a win, and they sort of relooked to the fact of Grayson Waller and Fury both being these sort of selfish partners who won't help each other out, and that with Austin Fury down on the floor after getting a knock just before the win, and Grayson Waller's just celebrating and ignoring him. Fury's not looking like he's going to be taking this much longer, and that would probably be when these drop the belts. I'm quite happy seeing these drop the belts. I'm a really big tag team fan. I really like tag team wrestling, and the way that it's all going, it's all on the up. Tag teams coming back. Then we get like a backstage segment. Nick Aldis having an absolute nightmare of a day, and as Apollo Crews, he got attacked by Angel and all them lot, and it's actually good to hear Apollo Crews with his actual voice, not putting on a Nigerian Prince voice, and I like Apollo Crews when he's been himself, but he gets beat down and he gets taken out of his match, and then LA Knight turns up and Carmelo Hayes turns up being his cocky self, which, to be fair, I preferred Carmelo Hayes, his other character, when he was in NXT, but he can't be the same all the way through, so I'm hoping that this version of Carmelo Hayes grows on us. But yeah, so Nick Aldis is having an absolute nightmare of a day. He just let's have it. So then we're gonna get LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes later on. We then get a little advert promo of Drew advertising Clash in the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland, or Glasgow as I would pronounce it. Then we get the finale of the Cody Rhodes promos, which I like the way they did this. They started it off early on with just Cody Rhodes prancing up and down waiting for AJ Styles to come by himself, and then the next one that comes along, Nick Aldis appears and it's like, Cody, what you doing? And Cody's kicking off, and then the next one, Nick Aldis is there with a load of security behind him saying that these are here just as a precaution. And then we get to this final one where AJ Styles turns up and everything's all starting to kick off, but when AJ Styles does turn up, he's standing up out of the sunroof of his 4x4, and Gallows and Anderson get out. Cody's rushing towards him, but he's surrounded by security. Gallows and Anderson's in between him, so he runs back to the ring and orders AJ Styles to come out, which he does, and basically says, you've got your match again, Clash of the Castle, but it's going to be a I Quit match, not any ordinary match. And he said, I'm going to make you say what you should have said last week, and that's I Quit. And Nick Aldis again. Here he is. He's like, yeah, do you know what? I like it. He's giving it big thumbs up. I really like Nick Aldis. I think he's doing brilliant on this. Yeah, and then we get the LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes match, which is a good match. LA Knight ends up winning as he should through a weird reverse pinning combination that gets a 3 count, which leaves Carmelo Hayes like befuddled that he lost it. But then LA Knight goes and grabs the headset, and because earlier I forgot to mention it before that it was looking for Logan Paul, and apparently Logan Paul is in LA at a Tetris competition or something. So LA Knight grabs hold of the mic and basically says if Logan Paul's not coming to SmackDown, he's going to bring the SmackDown to him. Now, not how WWE's been lately, I wouldn't be surprised if LA Knight appears at this Tetris competition and jumps Logan Paul. Maybe even costs him from being Tetris world champion. Who knows? But what was good really was the athleticism of Carmelo Hayes. A few times where it, reversed being thrown and landed on his feet, just being cocky, and he did good. He did good. I don't really like this cocky new character of him, but I appreciate Carmelo Hayes for what he is, and he is excellent in the ring. Then we get an interesting segment backstage of Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton's like, congratulating Nia Jax and saying that she's got her back. With Nia being the queen of the ring and her being the princess of a ring, that no one will be able to stop them, which is a bit strange. Someone sucking up to Nia Jax. As Nia turns to walk away, she ends up face to face with Michin, and Michin swills her with I don't know if it was water, but it actually looked like it was a Coke with ice. And she gets thrown over the table, but because there's ice everywhere, Nia Jax just keeps falling on her face. It's quite daft, really. But then we get a promo, from Bayley and Piper Niven, and I'm liking this new Piper Niven. When you look at the dynamics of what she's doing with Chelsea Green, it's sort of like when Piper Niven first came, when the name did Doudrop, and she was with Eva Marie. It's like quite a similar dynamic, but only they've got it right this time. They've got the balance right. Chelsea Green isn't as self-centered and, well, no, that's probably the wrong word. She isn't as much as Eva Marie, and they're not really disappointing Piper Niven as much as they were when they had her as Doudrop. So yeah, it was a decent promo from Piper Niven. We haven't really seen her give that type of promo before, and I think she did alright. She did well. She's confident. She was saying about how she was a champion before she came to WWE, and around the world, in Japan and everything. And yeah, no, good. I like to see this push for Piper Niven. I think she's doing a very good job as well at the moment. Then we get another a video message from Logan Paul, who's in LA preparing for his Tetris competition, and he gives a load of Tetris analogies to LA Knight, and I still think because they're pushing how much that Logan Paul's at a Tetris event, and LA Knight saying that he's going to bring the SmackDown to him, I really am expecting LA Knight to turn up at a Tetris event, where there's a load of geeks playing Tetris, and LA Knight just comes in and starts beating down Logan Paul. I think it'll be quite good entertainment, to be fair. Then we get the main event of the evening, which was set up earlier on, the 6-man tag between the Bloodline and KO and the Street Profits. And as I expected, this again, a decent match. Good pace from both sides, really. The athleticism as well from the Street Profits, and even KO. Like a dude that size and everything, it is just great. I love KO. This ends in disqualification, really, when Solo brings out a chair. But when SmackDown goes off the air, it finishes with the Bloodline standing tall after they all beat down the Street Profits and then put KO through the announcers table. So all in all, it was a good episode of SmackDown. It did what it needed to be, like the one before the last one before Clash at the Castle. So it's setting all that up nicely in Glasgow, and yeah, it was just really business as usual. There was some good spots. So I don't really think there was that many really bad spots, which makes a change. If you're not going to have loads of amazing spots, at least don't have any bad spots. And I don't think they achieved that. I think they've got it going steady, and they're actually telling the story correctly. And due to all the injuries, and just let people have a little bit of a rest, really, before they start ramping it up for SummerSlam, which I think is all going to happen at the end of Clash at the Castle. I think Uncle Howdy will come back and he'll go on to SmackDown. I would imagine Raw doesn't need to be any more stacked than what it already is. SmackDown's the one that needs that little bit of help. And hey, if the rumours are true, if anyone does know me a little bit, I am a big fan of Dexter Lumis. I think he's brilliant. Just that deadpan stare. If he comes back, I will be so happy. I've been checking the releases. I was really upset that Cameron Grimes got released, but yeah, I haven't seen Dexter Lumis's, and apparently according to all these QR codes, Dexter Lumis is part of the Wyatt Six, which I'll be really happy if he is. And so that is it for this week's episode of SmackDown. Mike should be back up and running as per usual for you next weekend, or next Friday, which will be the episode before Clash of the Castle. I really wish I could have got tickets for it. I'm not paying them prices. I think they have just announced individual tickets, but I haven't even bothered looking because I am going on holiday the weekend, the Tuesday before that, and Warrington to Glasgow is a bit of a trek. Yeah, maybe about 4 hours on train or something. So I could easily get up, but with going on holiday a couple of days after, I can't afford them prices. I even looked at UFC. UFC is coming to Manchester at the end of next month, and the tickets were announced yesterday. And I know I sort of forgot that they were released at 10 o'clock and I missed part of the sale, but the cheapest ticket I could find was £644, and that was in like the nosebleed seats. I thought, oh, Jesus, TKO are definitely making some money with these overseas, not just in wrestling but in UFC as well. So please go over to the football function and check out my rivalry and international reefer shows. And also check out Mike and Teddy's work that they do in the off-season and during the season. They break down the week's games brilliantly, preview and break down the off-season work with the is it Team of Destiny, where they're covering the years of the Super Bowl. They're just brilliant, especially if you like the history of the NFL. And there's a lot of good stuff over there. If you like the college football, there's CM over there, and he does an excellent job with college football. I wanted to get into college football, but never really had the time. CM keeps me up to date perfectly. Is excellent work goes on over there. So, with that being said, I will hopefully speak to you guys again, and thanks for listening. From me, Michael Twentyman, stay fly, everyone. Stay fly.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.